I don't want to say this every time, but it's one of my favorite guys, one of my favorite stories. This place is amazing.
Starting to mean less.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You know what? If it meant less, when my first grandkid was born, and the kid filled up my heart, and I felt so bad when my daughter got pregnant with the second grandkid because there's no room in my heart. My heart doubled in size. There is no end to love, so it's not cheap when I say you're one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Mitch, tell us a story.
Well, I've got a pet food company, 4th generation. We've been around for 91 years this April, actually. We're like 3 weeks away from it.
So you guys are from the 1900s?
Yeah.
Almost the 1800s.
Jay had already been shopping with us for 70 years. Which could be true, because he was a horse guy. But I think, my story, Biz Owners Ed, I started Biz Owners Ed 3 days after I purchased the business. And a lot of the guys in the Biz Owners Ed group, David and Jay and Bill, who's not here, actually helped facilitate the process to figure out how to purchase. And really it was starting off was easy. And what was hard was like year 3 and 4. And fortunately, one of the speakers, I think it was Tony Geary, had mentioned, build the toolbox, build the tool chest, because you're going to run into tough times, you're going to need help. And took that to heart and just, met as many people as I could, called when I had questions. And in 2019, we had missed out on building about a $35 million expansion. We were about $1.5 million short, and I didn't know enough about money to know that would have been pretty easy to find. And so we made what we thought was kind of the next best choice at the time, which was to get into a different segment that only cost $1 million at a time to get into. And so we bought a freeze dryer in 2018. Didn't have a building to put it in. Found one, bought it in 2019. Week after we closed, the guy that owned it died. Lucky for us, we got the building. If we would have waited, it would have been tied up in a family trust, and we probably never would have had it. And it happened to be the last building in Munster. And Munster
the freezer dryer would have been the parking lot.
It would have been somewhere. Yeah. Munster doesn't have a lot of buildings. And that's really when the pain started, because it took us all of probably 18 months to 2 years to figure out how to run that unit. We were bleeding cash every month. We were, negative in cash flow. And when Chad and I bought the business, we had no dollars to our name, thanks to Jay's strategic way on how to buy this thing. We came in hot.
Jay didn't tell you how to run it?
He said, you don't need money. You can borrow it. You can buy it. And so we did, but we learned how to fight and learned how to win when we were hungry. And we got to a point where, I had family issues happening at the same time, where the wife had been sick for 7-8 years, and we finally determined what it was, and it was our house. House was making her sick, and so we literally had to move out of our house and throw everything away. And that was in February of 2020, right when COVID hit. And I think maybe the month before, we had run a couple successful batches of freeze-dried. And so it kind of felt like things were going well. Then it's like, hey, get the heck out of your house, go buy another one. COVID starts, we lose the contract on the house we had for sale, and customers are not paying on time because they're worried about COVID. And I remember calling Bill, and Bill was standing next to Bruce Brown, and Bill's like, yeah, Mitch is going through a tough time, and Bruce's response was like, well, what's next? Like, so what?
Let's go.
And so it's just kind of like, what's the next right step? And talked to another.
So you guys didn't stand around and cry for 3 months?
Probably 2.
You got a guy. You got a guy like Bruce Brown, which we'll get up here and tell a story. One of the coolest heads on the face of the earth. He's like, okay, what's next?
Eat the
and
sandwich
that had to
and
give
move
you
on.
some comfort. Like, oh, you mean we can just do what's the next and take the next indicated step?
You stop feeling sorry for yourself, yeah. And so it's like, okay, let's just take the motto of let's take the next right step. And then had another friend that was just like, hey, no matter what, be bold. And so we bought 2 more freeze dryers. We went to the bank and leveraged everything we had. We bought 2 more because part of the challenge we came into is we would ask people if we could make product for them, and they would come do a site tour, and they'd say, wow, you have one machine that's cute. Call me back when you can help me grow by 50% per year, because the category was growing by 50% a year. So we bring a customer on, and we only have one machine, then they've outgrown us already within 9 months, and we can't do anything.
So you're trying to sell stuff you can't even deliver on.
100%. Yeah. And so we ordered 2 machines, and we said, okay, who can we make product for? And we chose to pursue companies that were selling stuff online, because pet food companies that were selling things online, they didn't have a QC team. They didn't have a QA team. They had no understanding what regulation was. They didn't care what they printed on their bag. They were just putting product in the market. Well, that worked okay for us too. So we pursued them, and sure enough, we started 2 or 3 guys. COVID hit, and the market went absolutely bonkers.
Because everybody got a dog? Because the dog pounds were empty.
Well,
Everyone needed a dog, and fortunately, in my moment of, what's the right next step, I decided to start eating the dog food. And so for 30 days, all I ate was our dog food, and we got a incredible amount of publicity.
Because it was delicious?
No, not so much. But we didn't have retail at the time. We had distribution in like 60 stores. Well, COVID hits, and we don't have a chance to enter distribution at that point. So we have all this momentum. Everyone's excited about the brand, but we can't put the product in any stores because distributors we're not bringing on anything new, and no one's walking into a store anyway. So figure out something else. And at that time, the seeds that we had planted with the companies that were doing direct to consumer called you guys have freeze dried, right? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Cool. We'll buy every pound you can make. And we went from not being able to sell anything to having 3 customers that were offering to pay 50% over market value to buy all of our capacity. And one thing led to another. We placed an order for 2 more freeze dryers, and we had a private equity group that kind of caught wind of some of the momentum we had. We told them we wanted to buy 1 dryer at a time, and they said, why not buy 20 at a time? And
Big thinker.
I'm just I don't understand what any of that means. That's well beyond what we were raised to think of in business. And again, we called the group our Biz Owners Advisors and just, said, hey,
is one good? If one's good, 20's better. Is that true?
Yeah, we just said, what do we do? And, fortunately, you called a bunch of advisors that they spent their life working on big deals, and big numbers weren't scary to them, and it was just a number on the page. And when they zoomed out and looked at it, it's okay, this is an arms race, and if you've got someone willing to help you go buy 20 dryers before the guys all over the country buy 20 dryers, take the damn money and buy the 20 dryers. And so we did. We now have an 80,000 square foot facility in Denton. It's dang near human grade, state of the art. It's about 2 months from being completed, and we will have 21 dryers up and running here within the next 60 days, with room to add close to 10 more. And the business is growing 50% year over year. And I would not have taken even the first step if it wasn't for Biz Owners Ed. I'd probably still be working for my parents and selling dog food to 80 stores. And now that we've had the opportunity to have the impact we have, we can, we're not feeding 37 families anymore. We're feeding 145, and we're on our way to having 200 that rely on us here within 60 days.
So your experience with Biz Owners Ed, and the time you spend in the class and mingling with the mentors and the speakers and sitting through 10 weeks of this class, that had an effect on your mind where you opened your mind to a place where it had never been, and you thought, you and your brother, we could own this company, we can grow this company. Our parents maybe they're tired, you're ready to rock and roll. Did Biz Owners Ed have that big of an effect on the way you thought about the business?
Yeah, I mean, I'd never met people that had this type of mindset, and they open windows that you can't unsee, and we haven't.
Good said.
Growing
Good
up in
said.
a small town, you meet people that, okay, I've become the king of this 2 acres, right? I'm the best hardware store, the best grocery store. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you reach people that want to have an impact far beyond just what's in their backyard and realize that you can do stuff globally, like David flying all over the world to do deals, and Jay had done, 32 or 33 by the time I'd met him, and you realize there's different flavors of ice cream in life and you want to try a few of them. And, it was just super, super motivating to be around the right people.
Imagine still working for your parents.
No.
I'll bet you can. I don't think you like it.
No, I've seen it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's all over the place in our industry, at least on the livestock and feed side, and you can predict what's going to happen next. It's the same cycle. It's the business is going to run, and it's going to do awesome for 7 years, and it's going to hit a wall because no one wanted to change, and then they spend 7 years figuring out they hit a wall, and then by the time they change, they're late to the third trend that they should have been at the front of.
Mitch, your 10 minutes is up, but we need more stories in the future. Will you come tell some more stories?
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
you will.
we'll go make some more.
All right.